Hello, welcome back. Here we are at Lesson 8. When you complete Lesson 8, you will just about be able to read like a PhD. There'll be one more lesson and then we're done. So let's get started, shall we? As I told you in the introduction, there are only two kinds of syllables in American English, and we're going to go over both of them, those two. The first one you'll find on page 35. Oh, and by the way, be sure to read the 10 steps to reading really big words. That's on page 34. So take your time and read pages 33 and 34. But for now, decoding skill number 1. When you learn this, you'll know 50% of all the words. And then we get to part 2, and then you'll know 100% of the English-based words. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Decoding skill number 1. When a vowel is followed by one consonant, the rule says, separate the vowel from the consonant. I'll go over each of these steps with you. Let's look at step 1 on page 35. Step 1 says when a vowel is followed by one consonant, split them up and box that first consonant. So here we see the word hotel, which we all know. Vowel O is the first vowel we see. Vowel O only has one consonant immediately to its right before you run into another vowel. There's only one consonant to the right of the O until you run into another vowel. And that one consonant to the right of the O is what? T. Yes, it is T. So we box up the first two letters, the H and the O. That's our first syllable in this word. Now, do you remember that rule number 3 that said when there's nothing behind a vowel, it is long, like in me, right? So is there anything behind the O after you box it up? No. So we make that O long. So put the diacritical mark for long O. That's step 2. Now I want you to pronounce the first syllable. Say O and put the H in front, ho. Now let's go to step 3. I want you to look at the T-E-L. Draw a box around T-E-L. That is the second syllable, the second sound, the second time you move your mouth, the second beat, whatever you want to call it. It is number 2 in this word. First was ho, and second is what? T-E-L. And the rule tells us what? E is short. We know that sound L, and we put a T in front. And what is that syllable? Right, tell. The last step, squish them together, and you have the word hotel. Very good. The first vowel is long, and the second vowel in that word is short. Now, I want you to go to page 36 and 37 and practice decoding skill number 1. Now we're going to look at decoding skill number 2. It was pretty simple to master decoding skill number 1. Decoding skill number 2 is as simple. Here we are on page 31, and again, I want you to look at the steps that have been outlined for you. The rule says when a vowel has two consonants, you split them up and box them. Now, if you'll recall, decoding skill number 1 said when a vowel is followed by one consonant, you split them up. Okay, so let's look at step 1. Our key word here, as you can tell, is button. Let's look at the first vowel, U. That U is short, right? Step 2 says when a vowel is followed by a consonant, it is short. That U is followed by a consonant. But our decoding skill says split up the two consonants first to make the syllable. So the first thing you want to do is draw a box around B-U-T. Split up the two consonants, T, T, right? They don't have to be doubles, just any two consonants get split up. Now, in step 2, we know that that U is short because it has that T behind it in this first part of the syllable, right? So short U sounds like ut, but. That's the first sound in this word. Remember, say these words and sounds out loud. You'll get it much faster. The next step we do, step 3, is we draw a box around the remainder, which is T-O-N, right? And if we look at our rule again, the O in that word, that syllable, is short because it has an N behind it. Short O, remember when you go to the doctor, you go, ah. So let's sound out T-O-N, starting with the short O sound. Say ah, on, ton. Put it together, you have button. Told you it was easy. Now, I want you to practice page 39 and page 40. And when you finish page 40, you are reading like a PhD. Let me give you an example. Let's look at number 7 on page 39, all right? Remember, we are practicing decoding skill number 2. Indent is the word. Number 7, indent. Let's pretend you don't know that word. So the first letter happens to be a vowel, I. But that I has 2 consonants behind it to the right before you run into another vowel, an N and a D. So we're going to divide the word between the N and the D. The first 2 letters, I-N, that's your first syllable. That's your first sound. The I is short because it has an N, and the word, as you know, is N. Remember to put your diacritical mark short sign for N above the I. So everyone say N. Very good. Now we go to D-E-N-T, the second syllable in this word. And we know that E is short because it has 2 consonants to its right. Short E is say and, ent. Put the D in front, dent. And the word is what? Indent. That's the way you go through this. Not as fast as you can, but as thoroughly as you can. So you practice this second rule, and when you get to page 40, you will have grown to reading like a PhD. And I'll see you next time. We have one more lesson that we're going to do together, but I don't want you to totally skip lesson 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll do 13 together. I want you to do 14, 15, and 16 on your own. But you and I together will do 13 and 17, and you'll be reading like a PhD. Take your time, do it thoroughly. Some of you have the answer book. If you need it, look it up. No harm. Okay, see you next time.